everybody, and welcome to the fourth interview as part of the COVID STEM Educator Interview Series. Today I've got with me Senior Lecturer, Dr. Anthony Edwards, and he has been teaching a first year aviation mathematics unit, which we're going to talk about today. So Anthony, can you tell me a little bit about your unit first of all?
Sure. So my unit, as you said, is a first year mathematics unit. For almost everyone in the cohort, this is the first sort of university level maths they've been doing. It's designed to sort of bring them up to speed in the areas of maths they need for sort of future studies. So a little bit of calculus, a little bit of statistics, a little bit of finance. It's sort of like one of those mixed bag units where we do a little bit of everything.
Fantastic. Tell me what you've done to transition to the online delivery.
Sure. Well, I tried to leverage off what we had already in the first two and a bit weeks of teaching. That I wanted students to try and have some idea of sort of consistency from that approach. So I took each element in turn of what I'd expect a face-to-face delivery to involve, and I tried to find the best alternative I could with the limitations and the flexibility that we do have here at Swinburne.
How are you doing your lectures? What are you using to produce your lectures?
Sure. So I'm recording dual screens. I'm recording a slide that I annotate with a tablet PC and also my face. I find that I teach mathematics with my hands too much for not to be able to see a bit of me at least. And so I record those simultaneously, combine them on Collaborate. No, it's not Collaborate, what was I mean? Combine them on Camtasia even, and then I upload them into the Echo Centre. Fantastic.
Now, talking about student feedback, you're an unusual case because you're one of our very few academics who scored their overall average across all the indicators actually improved in the online environment compared to the face-to-face. So what are you doing to get
maybe you should be asking what I was doing before. No, I mean it's only the first decimal place, so it's not a huge change. But I've just tried to take as much of the original approach as I can onto the online space. I'm very lucky that my student feedback has generally been positive, and so I've tried to think, well, what have students said in the past about me, and how much can I do online that maintains that kind of approach?
So how are you dealing with your learning activities and your assessments?
I've been developing activities that try and keep that essence of a student, demonstrating their understanding, but giving students enough flexibility to personalise an assessment so that academic misconduct and plagiarism issues are hopefully downplayed. So, for instance, whereas before I'd have given them some vectors to work with and got them to do some simple operations, demonstrate they can do the procedures, I've been asking students to get their own flight data. By doing that, we've reduced the chance of plagiarism because everyone's getting their own data. So if two students have exactly the same data, it's a little bit suspicious. But aside from that, they can actually get a bit more involved. So I've been trying to make things a little more authentic where possible.
Fantastic. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is the way that you communicate with your students in the online environment, because from the check-in survey, students really raved about how clear your instructions are. They talked about you being really tech savvy, really organised. I just wanted to know what you're doing in that communication space to really sort of draw the students in.
What I've tried to do is actually I've split up my communication, come into two flavours. Everything that's announcement based, so the text communication, I've actually done very little of. My aim is less is more with regards to sort of the email correspondence and the announcement. So I only send one announcement a week, unless there's an urgent news flash. I try to tell them very clearly what this announcement is and what I expect them to do once they've read it. And so I do the clinical things through the email, and hopefully as few as possible, and try and use other mediums for my other communication.
That was a common theme that came out through the students' voice in the check-in survey, is things were very clear. They knew when to do things and what to expect. So I really think you're managing their expectations really well. You're sort of giving them a very clear picture of what's happening, not only for the whole semester, but for that particular week, so they know what they've got to do for that week. So that sounds great. So look, you've really obviously adapted well in the online environment, but I want to know, what did you prefer? Do you prefer the face-to-face or do you prefer the online environment?
I guess my thinking is when we do move back to more traditional classes, then I think 100% replication of what I'm doing now will be a complete disaster. I think that standing in front of people and explaining concepts, seeing the faces that are nodding or the faces that are looking petrified is something that I really miss. I mean, also I don't miss people not understanding what I'm saying, but I like having this interaction. I feel that I'm able to present a good lecture when I know how people are understanding it.
Oh, well, thank you, Anthony. Thank you for giving up your time. It was really good just to get a little insight into what's happening in aviation mathematics. And I feel really comfortable that students are really enjoying mathematics. We do want more students. Hey, what's the makeup between males and females in aviation mathematics?
It's probably representative of the School of Aviation in general, so that it seems to be a more popular student. A more popular course with male students, but probably around, sadly, 80-20, I would say, in my experience. So I think that is representative of the general trend.
So we've got a bit of way to go to continue recruiting some female students into mathematics.
Potentially, yes.
Thank you for your time. I hope that the viewers enjoyed this interview and got a little taste of the great things that you're doing in aviation mathematics. Thanks,
Thank you very much for inviting me. Cheers, thank you.